The champagne flute shattered against marble. Monica didn't flinch. She watched Hye-jin stumble forward, arms flailing, designer dress catching on her heels. The woman had lunged at her, actually lunged, right in the middle of Seoul's most exclusive charity gala, in front of cameras and socialites and people whose opinions actually mattered. Monica had simply taken one small step to the left. Hye-jin hit the floor hard. The crash echoed through the suddenly silent ballroom. Her white Chanel dress bloomed with champagne like a bad wedding photo. Mascara already running, hair falling out of its elaborate updo. "Oh no," Monica gasped, hand flying to her chest, eyes wide with concern that would have won her an Oscar. "Are you all right? I'm so sorry, I didn't see you. Did you trip?" "You witch!" Hye-jin hissed, trying to get up and slipping again on the wet marble. "You did that on purpose." Monica crouched down, getting close enough that only Hye-jin could hear her next. Words. Her smile never wavered. "You took my husband. I took yours. That's fair, isn't it?" She tilted her head, locks swaying. "Now we're even." Hye-jin's face drained of color. Monica stood gracefully, turning to the frozen crowd with an apologetic smile. "I think she's had too much to drink. Poor thing." She extended her hand behind her, not even looking. "Darling, should we give her some space?" A large, calloused hand wrapped around hers. Kim Jae-won, Korea's most feared mafia boss, the man whose ex-wife was currently sprawled on the ballroom floor, stepped forward in his perfectly tailored suit. His expression was unreadable, but his thumb traced a small circle on Monica's palm. The crowd erupted in whispers. Jae-won leaned down, lips brushing Monica's ear. "Remind me never to make you angry." She squeezed his hand. Smart man. They walked out together, leaving chaos in their wake. But here's the thing. This wasn't how their story was supposed to go. Monica had a plan. A good plan. A simple revenge plan that involved zero actual feelings and maximum jealousy. The plan did not include falling in love with a mafia boss who still had feelings for his ex-wife and had never once folded his own laundry. It definitely didn't include him falling for her. But sometimes the best revenge is the kind you don't see coming. If you love watching revenge plans that backfire in the best way possible, then hit that subscribe button right now, because this story is about to get wild. Drop a raised fist in the comments if you're ready to see how a hair importation businesswoman took down Korea's most dangerous man with nothing but audacity and a really good breakfast. Let's go. 1 week earlier, Kim Jae-won woke up to the smell of sizzling bacon and the unmistakable aroma of fresh coffee brewing. His eyes snapped open. Someone was in his house. His hand moved on instinct, sliding under the pillow where he kept his gun. The penthouse was supposed to be impenetrable. His security team knew better than to let anyone through without direct clearance. Yet someone was cooking, in his kitchen, like they belonged there. He was up in seconds, weapon raised, every muscle tense. The sounds continued, the scrape of a pan against the stove, the soft clink of plates being set down, the hum of someone completely at ease. Jae-won moved silently down the hallway, finger on the trigger, ready for anything. When he rounded the corner to the open kitchen, he froze. A black woman stood at his stove, her back to him, wearing nothing but his white dress shirt. The fabric hung loosely on her frame, the sleeves rolled up to her elbows, hem barely reaching mid-thigh. Her locks were swept elegantly over one shoulder as she reached into his cupboard, the one where he kept his plates, without hesitation, like she'd done this 100 times before. She pulled out 2 bowls, set them on the counter, stirred something that smelled unmistakably like kimchi jjigae. How did she know where anything was? "Put your hands up," Jae-won growled, gun trained on her back. "Now." She didn't even flinch. "Good morning to you too, husband," she said cheerfully, not bothering to turn around. She reached for the sesame oil, his sesame oil, the expensive one he kept hidden behind the soy sauce, and drizzled it over the stew with practiced ease. "You snore, by the way. Loud." Jae-won's grip tightened on the gun. "Who the hell are you, and how did you get into my house?" "You let me in," she replied, finally glancing over her shoulder with a smile that was far too calm for someone staring down a loaded weapon. "Well, Technically, you were too drunk to stop me, but same difference. She turned back to the stove, completely unbothered. You're heavier than you look. I practically had to drag you to bed. His mind raced. Last night, the bar. He'd gone out alone. No security, just him and too much soju, trying to drown out thoughts of Hee-jin. The rest was a blur. I don't know you, he said slowly, dangerously. Not yet. She plated the stew with the kind of precision that spoke of someone who knew her way around a kitchen. She added banchan from his refrigerator, kimchi, pickled radish, seasoned spinach, arranging everything like she was setting a table for two. But you will. Now put the gun down before you accidentally shoot me. That would be a terrible way to start a marriage. Marriage? She turned fully now, leaning against the counter with a wooden spatula in one hand, completely unbothered by the weapon pointed at her chest. Her eyes sparkled with something between amusement and challenge. Your wife stole my husband, she said simply, like she was discussing the weather. So I'm taking you. Fair trade. She gestured to the breakfast spread with the spatula. Now sit down. The jjigae is perfect, and I didn't wake up at 6 a.m. to let it go to waste. Jaewon stood frozen, gun still raised, brain struggling to process the absolute insanity of what he was hearing. This woman, this stranger, had broken into his home, cooked him breakfast, put on his clothes, and just announced she was... What? Claiming him? Who are you? He asked, quieter this time. She smiled, slow, confident, and devastatingly unbothered. Monica Thomas, she said, setting down the spatula and walking toward him with steps that were far too calm for someone facing a loaded gun. She stopped just out of arm's reach, tilted her head, and looked him dead in the eye. Hair importation entrepreneur, soon-to-be ex-wife, and as of last night... She paused, smile widening. Your new problem. The gun slowly lowered to his side. My wife? He repeated, still processing. Hee-jin? Your ex-wife is sleeping with my husband. I have photos, timestamps, hotel receipts, the works. They've been carrying on for 6 months while we played the devoted spouses at home. She plated the stew, added, banchan. So here's the deal. I'm taking you. Fair trade. You took his wife, I take her husband. We make them miserable, then go our separate ways. Simple. She picked up the spatula again, tasting the stew and nodding in satisfaction. So here's the deal. They want each other? Fine. But I'm not walking away empty-handed. She turned, giving him an appraising look that made him feel like merchandise being evaluated. You're successful, dangerous, and, she gestured at him with the spatula, extremely attractive. Perfect upgrade, really. She smiled wider. Plus, your wife clearly has terrible taste if she preferred my mediocre husband over you, so this works out for both of us. Jaewon stared at her. You're insane. Maybe. Monica shrugged, completely unbothered. But I make excellent kimchi jjigae, by the way, and I noticed you have a meeting at 11. I don't have a meeting at 11. You do now. He just stood there, gun hanging uselessly at his side, watching. This stranger who'd somehow infiltrated every aspect of his life in the span of one night. How do you know about my business? He asked carefully. I do my research. Monica's smile turned sharp. You think I just randomly picked you? Please. She took a bite of her own food. So here's what I know about you, Kim Jaewon. You're 36. You run most of Seoul's underground operations, and you're still pathetically in love with a woman who left you for a man with less money and zero power. She posts photos with him constantly, and you torture yourself by looking at every single one. Each word landed like a punch. How do you... Monica leaned back in her chair, completely at ease. I've been watching you for 3 weeks. You go to the same bar every Thursday, drink yourself stupid, and stumble home alone. And last night, when you were too drunk to stand, I helped you into your car, brought you home, and decided this was the perfect time to make my move. You took advantage of me while I was drunk. The words hit harder than any bullet. So here's what's going to happen, Monica continued, voice steady and businesslike. You and I are going to make a public appearance together. We're going to make your ex-wife and my cheating husband absolutely miserable watching us. We're going to play the perfect couple until they're drowning in jealousy and regret." She paused. "And then we both walk away with our dignity intact. Deal?" Jaewon's mind was still catching up. "You want to use me for revenge." "Fair play," Monica corrected. "They used us. We use each other. Strategic partnership." She extended her hand like they were closing a business deal. "So what do you say, husband? Want to make your ex-wife regret ever leaving you?" He should have thrown her out, should have called security, should have done literally anything except what he did next. He took her hand. "One condition," he said, voice low. "When this is over, when they're both miserable and begging us to come back, I want Hee-jin to know exactly what she lost." Monica's smile was pure satisfaction. "Deal." She squeezed his hand once, then released it and gestured to the breakfast table. "Now sit down and eat before everything gets cold. We have a lot of planning to do, and you're going to need your strength." She pulled out a chair for him, completely at ease. "Oh, and I move my things into your guest room. Hope that's okay." "You... what?" "Can't be convincing if we're not living together," Monica said reasonably, like she hadn't just announced she was moving in. "Don't worry, I'll stay out of your way. Mostly." She sat down across from him, picking up her chopsticks. "Now eat." Jaewon sat down slowly, still processing the tornado that had just rearranged his entire life in the span of 20 minutes. He picked up his chopsticks, took a bite of the kimchi jjigae. It was perfect. Better than anything Yejin had ever made. Better than anything anyone had ever made for him. Monica watched him with knowing eyes. "Good?" "It's fine," he muttered. She grinned. Liar. And despite everything, despite the absolute insanity of the situation, despite the fact that a stranger had just moved into his house and rearranged his life, Jaewon felt something he hadn't felt in months, something that felt dangerously close to hope. The first 2 days were an adjustment period. Monica moved through his penthouse like she'd always lived there, rearranging furniture, reorganizing his kitchen, even buying fresh flowers for the living room. She did all of this without asking, without hesitation, like she had every right to transform his space. Jaewon watched, bemused and slightly horrified as his sterile, lifeless penthouse slowly became warm, lived in, like an actual home instead of just a place he slept. On the 3rd day, she laid out his clothes. He came out of the shower to find a complete outfit on his bed: navy suit, crisp white, shirt, burgundy tie, matching pocket square, cufflinks he'd forgotten he owned. Even his socks were selected and waiting. "What is this?" he called out. Monica appeared in his doorway, coffee mug in hand, looking entirely too pleased with herself. "Your outfit. For the meeting. I can dress myself." "Clearly not well." She gestured at his closet. "You've been rotating the same boring suits for weeks. This is better. Trust me." He stared at the outfit. It was better. Coordinated in a way his clothes never were when he picked them himself. "I don't need—" "Yes, you do. Also, we're having dinner with my sister tomorrow night." Jaewon froze. "What?" "My sister, Ada. She wants to meet you." Monica said it casually, like she was mentioning the weather. "I told her I was seeing someone. She demanded details, so now you're coming to dinner." "I didn't agree to meet your family." "Well, you're going to. We're supposed to be dating, remember? Dating people meet each other's families. It's how this works." "This is moving too fast," he protested weakly. "This is moving at exactly the right pace." She pointed toward the kitchen. "Dress up and come down for breakfast. You need to eat." "So, tomorrow night. Wear something nice but not intimidating. Ada scares easily." "I'm a mafia boss. Everything about me is intimidating." "Then tone it down." Monica smiled. "Smile more. Be charming. Pretend you're not thinking about murder." "I'm not currently thinking about murder." "That's the spirit." Despite himself, Jaewon smiled. Monica noticed. Her expression softened. "There. See? You can be charming when you try." Over breakfast, Monica said, "So tell me about Hee-jin." The name made him tense. "Why?" Because if we're going to make her jealous, I need to know what I'm working with. What was she like? What did she do that made you fall for her? Jaewon set down his chopsticks. She was elegant, sophisticated. She came from a good family, knew all, the right people. Being with her made sense. That's the most unromantic thing I've ever heard. It's the truth. It's sad. Monica studied him. Did you love her, or did you love what she represented? The question hit too close to home. I thought I loved her, he said finally. But looking back, I don't know. Maybe I just loved the idea of having someone. Monica's expression turned sympathetic. And then she left. For a man with less money, less power, less everything I thought mattered. Jaewon laughed bitterly. Turns out I wasn't enough anyway. Or, Monica said gently, she's an idiot who doesn't know what she wants. She reached across the table, squeezed his hand briefly. Either way, we're going to make her regret it. There was something comforting about her certainty, like she genuinely believed they could pull this off. What about your husband? Jaewon asked. Minho, right? Monica's expression hardened. Minho I don't even know anymore. We met in university. He was safe, stable, and supportive. Or so I thought. I built my business from nothing. Hair importation. I started with one supplier and turned it into a whole operation, made real money, made a name for myself. And you know what Minho said when I told him about my first major contract? What? He said it was cute. Monica's voice dripped with disdain. Cute. Like I was a child playing businesswoman. Because my family doesn't have connections or standing. Never mind that I was making more than him. Never mind that I did it myself. She looked up, eyes fierce. So when I found out he was sleeping with your ex-wife, you know what I felt? Anger? Relief. Monica smiled grimly, because it meant I could finally leave without feeling guilty. He gave me the perfect excuse. They sat in silence, two people bound together by betrayal and the need to prove something. We're going to be great at this, Monica said finally. At what? Revenge. She raised her coffee mug in a mock toast. Here's to making our exes absolutely miserable. Jaewon raised his mug. I'll drink to that. Dinner with Ada was an experience. Monica's sister was tiny, loud, and had opinions about everything. She took one look at Jaewon and said, "You're the Mafia boss?" "Ada," Monica hissed. "What? He is, isn't he?" Ada circled Jaewon like he was a sculpture she was appraising. I expected someone more, I don't know, scarier? I can be scary, Jaewon offered. Please don't. Monica grabbed his arm. We're trying to make a good impression. I'm already impressed, Ada announced, sitting down at the restaurant table. He's hot, he's rich, and Monica, you look happy for the first time in months. I approve. We didn't ask for your approval, Monica said, but she was smiling. Too bad, you're getting it anyway. Ada leaned forward conspiratorially. So, Mr. Mafia Boss, Jaewon, he corrected. Jaewon, Ada repeated, testing it out. What are your intentions with my sister? Monica choked on her water. Ada, oh my God. It's a valid question. Ada kept her eyes on Jaewon. She's been through hell with that useless husband. If you're going to break her heart too, I need to know now so I can prepare accordingly. There was steel beneath the playful tone. This was a test. Jaewon met Ada's eyes steadily. I have no intention of hurting your sister. She's remarkable. Monica's hand found his under the table, squeezed once. Ada's expression softened. Good answer. She sat back, satisfied. Now tell me everything. How did you meet? Monica was very vague on the phone. Monica and Jaewon exchanged a glance. I broke into his apartment and made him breakfast, Monica said cheerfully. Ada blinked. I'm sorry, what? It's a long story, Jaewon added. I have time. So they told her, an edited version, leaving out the revenge plot but keeping the essentials. Ada listened, eyes getting wider and wider. That's insane, she said when they finished. We know, Monica agreed. That's also the most romantic thing I've ever heard. Ada was grinning now. You literally invaded his home and forced him to date you. I didn't force. You absolutely forced, Jaewon interrupted, smiling despite himself. I was just too confused to argue. Monica elbowed him. You wanted to argue, you just couldn't think of a good reason. Because you made excellent kimchi jjigae. See? Monica turned to Ada triumphantly. The way to a man's heart is through his stomach. I thought it was through his fourth rib, Ada said innocently. Jaewon laughed, actually laughed, loud and genuine. Monica stared at him like she'd never seen him before. What? He asked. Nothing. But she was smiling. You should laugh more. It's nice. Something warm settled in his chest. The dinner continued, Ada regaling them with embarrassing stories about Monica's childhood while Monica threatened her with various creative punishments. Jaewon found himself relaxing, enjoying the easy banter, the way Monica's whole face lit up when she laughed. This was supposed to be fake, a performance. But sitting there, watching Monica tease her sister and include him in the jokes, it felt dangerously real. When they left the restaurant, Ada pulled Monica into a hug. I like him, she whispered, loud enough for Jaewon to hear. Don't mess this up. I'll try not to, Monica promised. In the car, Monica turned to Jaewon. Thank you. For what? For being... She gestured vaguely. You. Ada can be a lot, but you handled her perfectly. She cares about you. I respect that. Monica's expression went soft. You're nicer than you pretend to be. Don't tell anyone. It'll ruin my reputation. She laughed, and the sound made something in his chest ache. This was dangerous. He was supposed to be using her to make Hyejin jealous, not actually falling for her smile and her laugh and the way she made everything feel lighter. But it was too late to stop now. The next morning, Jaewon came home from a meeting to find her in his bedroom, sorting through his suits with military precision. She'd color-coded everything, arranged his shoes by style and frequency of use, and somehow found time to buy new hangers that matched. What are you doing? He'd stopped being surprised by her invasions at this point. Now he was just curious. Optimizing, Monica said without looking up. Your closet was a disaster. How do you find anything in here? I managed. Barely. She held up 2 nearly identical black suits. You have 4 of these. 4. Why do you need 4 identical black suits? They're not identical. They absolutely are. Monica shook her head, setting 3 of them aside. We're donating these. You only need 1. Those are custom tailored and redundant. She moved to his socks drawer, made a sound of pure horror. Oh my God, are these just thrown in here? No organization at all? Jaewon watched as she proceeded to pair every single sock, arrange them by color in the drawer, and somehow make the whole thing look like a magazine spread. This is insane, he said. This is efficient, Monica corrected. Now you can find matching socks without thinking about it. You're welcome. She moved through his space with the confidence of someone who belonged there, touching his things, reorganizing his life, making decisions about his wardrobe and his schedule, and apparently everything else. Hyejin had never done any of this, never cared about the small details of his life, never made his space feel like anything other than a place to exist. Monica made it feel like a home. He didn't realize how much he'd been craving that until she provided it. 2 weeks later, she set his bedtime. It's 10:30, Monica announced, walking into his home office where he was reviewing contracts. Time for bed. Jaewon looked up from his paperwork. Excuse me? Bed. Sleep. You need 8 hours for optimal performance, and you have that early meeting tomorrow. She pointed toward his bedroom like a mother directing a child. Go. I'm not a child. Then stop acting like one who doesn't know how to maintain a proper sleep schedule. Monica crossed her arms, expression brooking no argument. You've been running on 6 hours a night for weeks. It's affecting your decision-making. I can see it in the contracts you signed yesterday. You missed 3 clauses that could have cost you. He had missed those clauses. How did she know that? I don't need a babysitter, he said firmly. No, you need a wife. Monica's smile was sharp. And right now, I'm it. So either get yourself to bed or I'll drag you there myself. And trust me, that won't be dignified for either of us." They stared at each other in a battle of wills. Jaewon broke first. He stood, gathering his papers with as much dignity as he could muster. "Fine, but this is the last time you tell me when to sleep." Monica's laugh echoed as she left. "Sure it is, honey." Despite his protest, Jaewon found himself looking forward to 10:30 every night, to Monica appearing in his doorway, bossing him around, caring whether he slept enough. It was dangerous how much he was getting used to her. The gala was 3 days away. Monica spent the time preparing like a general planning war. The night of the event, Monica emerged in a dress that made him forget how to breathe. Emerald green, perfectly fitted, devastating. Her locks styled elegantly, gold jewelry catching light. "Well," she turned, "will this make them miserable?" "Definitely." Monica walked over, straightened his burgundy tie. "You look good, too." They were standing very close. He could smell her perfume. "Monica," he said quietly. "Thank you for all this." Her hand stilled on his tie. She looked up. "You're welcome." For a moment, they just stood there. Then Monica stepped back. "Ready to break some hearts?" Jaewon offered his arm. "Absolutely." They arrived fashionably late. The ballroom was packed. Politicians, business leaders, socialites, crystal chandeliers, champagne fountains, string quartet. And there, near the center, stood Hye-jin and Min-ho. Monica's hand tightened on his arm. Showtime. They entered together. The room noticed. Conversations stuttered. Heads turned. Hye-jin's face went pale. Monica kept her expression pleasant, unbothered. She guided Jaewon through the crowd, charming influential people who were clearly impressed. "Your girlfriend is delightful," a textile magnate told Jaewon. "Building an empire," Monica answered, smiling. "Hair importation. Nigeria, Ghana, Brazil. Impressive. Call my office." Monica exchanged business cards with practiced ease, one hand on Jaewon's arm. They were halfway through their second circuit when Hye-jin approached. "Jaewon." He turned. There she was, elegant in white, but something desperate in her eyes. Min-ho stood behind her, looking uncomfortable. Monica's husband, the man she'd married, built a life with, who'd thrown it all away. "Hye-jin," Jaewon said evenly. She glanced at Monica, not with disdain, but with something more complicated. Recognition, guilt. "Can we talk?" "Anything you say, you can say in front of Monica." Hye-jin's jaw tightened. She looked at Monica directly now. "I'm sorry. For everything. I never meant—" "You never meant to get caught," Monica said quietly. Not angry, just tired. "There's a difference. I made a mistake." Hye-jin's voice cracked slightly. She looked back at Jaewon. "We made a mistake. Min-ho and I. It's not what we thought. And now you want me back?" Jaewon kept his tone neutral. "I miss what we had. Do you, or do you miss what I could provide? That's not fair, isn't it?" He shook his head. "You made your choice." "I've moved on," Jaewon said, looking at Monica. Something genuine crossed his face. "With someone who actually wants to be with me." Hye-jin's expression wavered, not quite tears, but close. Humiliation and regret mixing together. She took a step forward, reaching for Jaewon's arm. Her champagne glass tilted dangerously. Monica shifted her weight, almost imperceptibly. Hye-jin's heel caught. She lurched forward, champagne flying, arms windmilling. She hit the marble hard. Champagne soaked her white dress, hair falling loose, mascara smudging. The room went silent. Monica's hand flew to her mouth. "Oh no, are you okay?" Cameras were already out. This would be everywhere by morning. Hye-jin looked up from the floor, face a mixture of shock and shame. Not crying, not breaking down, just defeated. Torn between anger at Monica and horror at her own public humiliation. "I'm sorry," Monica said, extending a hand. "I didn't mean—" "Don't." Hye-jin's voice was quiet. She struggled to her feet. Dress. Ruined. Dignity shattered. She looked at Monica, then Jae-won, and something like understanding passed between all of them. This was what betrayal looked like, what consequences felt like. Monica turned to Jae-won. "Should we go?" He took her hand. They walked away together, leaving Hye-jin standing there, Minho uselessly beside her, both of them looking like they'd just lost something they couldn't get back. Outside, Monica finally exhaled. "That was effective," Jae-won finished. "I was going to say brutal." Monica looked up at him. "Are you okay?" The question surprised him. "Why wouldn't I be?" "Because you loved her. Because seeing her like that—" Monica squeezed his hand. "Revenge doesn't always feel as good as we think it will." She was right. Seeing Hye-jin on that floor, humiliated and desperate, it should have felt satisfying. Instead, it just felt empty. The next few days were strange. Jae-won found himself withdrawing, not consciously, just needing space. The gala had stirred up feelings he thought he'd buried. Hye-jin's face on that floor, the desperation in her voice. He'd loved her once, really loved her, and now she was broken, and he'd helped break her. Monica noticed. Of course she noticed. She stopped pushing and gave him space, which somehow made it worse. Monica didn't leave. She was still there, physically present in his penthouse, but the warmth was gone. She moved through the apartment like a ghost, quiet, efficient, distant. The humming was gone. The easy laughter that had filled his space had vanished completely. By the third day, Jae-won realized what he'd lost. He missed her. Not just her presence, but her. The way she'd tease him about his terrible food choices. The way she'd appear in his doorway at 10:30 with that bossy smile. The way she'd made everything feel lighter. Now she was right there, and somehow further away than ever. On the fourth morning, he found her in the kitchen, making breakfast. She set a plate in front of him without a word, without meeting his eyes, and turned to leave. "Monica," he said. She paused, back still to him. "What? Are we okay?" She finally turned, and her expression was carefully blank, controlled. The warmth that usually lived in her eyes had vanished completely. "We're fine," she said quietly. "You got what you wanted. Space to figure out your feelings about Hye-jin. I'm just giving you that." "That's not what I need to go," Monica interrupted, already moving toward the door. "I have meetings all day." And just like that, she was gone. Jae-won sat alone with his breakfast, perfectly prepared, just the way he liked it, and realized he'd made a terrible mistake. She was still here, but she wasn't here. And somehow, that was so much worse than if she'd just left. 2 days later, Hye-jin showed up at his office. Jun-ho tried to stop her. "Boss, she's—" "Let her in," Jae-won said, tiredly. Hye-jin walked in looking different, softer, vulnerable. Her hair down, minimal makeup, wearing a simple dress instead of designer labels. "Thank you for seeing me," she said quietly. Jae-won leaned back in his chair. "What do you want, Hye-jin?" "To apologize, properly." She sat down across from him. "What I did, with Minho, it was wrong. I was selfish and cruel, and I threw away something good because I was stupid." "Yes, you did. I miss you." She leaned forward, eyes earnest. "I miss us. What we had. We were good together, Jae-won. We could be again." There was a time when those words would have destroyed him, would have made him forgive anything just to have her back. Now he just felt tired. "We weren't good together," he said quietly. "I thought we were. But Hye-jin, you never asked about my day, never cooked for me, never cared about the small things that make a relationship real. I can change. I don't want you to change." Jae-won stood. "I want you to leave." Hye-jin stood too, desperation creeping in. She moved closer, hand reaching for his chest. "Please, just give me another chance. I know I can make you happy." Her fingers trailed down his shirt, attempting seduction, attempting to use attraction to fix what words couldn't. Jae-won caught her wrist, removed her hand firmly. "Don't." "Jae-won, this is pathetic, Hye-jin." His voice was cold now. You don't want me. You want what I represent, the security, the status. You never wanted me. That's not true. Yes, it is. He stepped back, putting distance between them. And honestly, I'm not interested. Not in you, not in this desperate attempt at seduction. It's beneath both of us. Hyejin's face crumpled. Not quite crying, but close. You really moved on. I really did. She looked at him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. She's lucky. That woman. Monica. No, Jae-won said quietly. I'm the lucky one. After Hyejin left, Jae-won sat in his office and realized the truth. He didn't love Hyejin anymore. Maybe he hadn't for a while. That night, he found Monica in his kitchen again, cooking dinner while humming along to music playing from her phone. She'd changed out of her business clothes into comfortable leggings and one of his t-shirts. When had she started wearing his clothes again? And her locks were piled on top of her head in a messy bun. She looked beautiful, comfortable, like she belonged in his space. You didn't have to cook, he said from the doorway. Monica glanced over her shoulder. I wanted to. Besides, you eat too much takeout. It's not healthy. She turned back to the stove. How was the rest of your day? And there it was. The question Hyejin had never asked. The simple inquiry into his life, his well-being, the minutiae of his day that seemed too boring to matter, but somehow did when Monica asked. It was fine, he said, moving into the kitchen. The council meeting went well. Good. Monica tasted the sauce she was making, added more garlic. I'm glad it was. He watched her move around his kitchen with practiced ease, making decisions about his food and his health like she had every right to care about those things. Why are you doing all this? The question came out before he could stop it. Monica paused, spatula in hand. Doing what? This. He gestured at the kitchen, at her, at everything. The cooking, the organizing, the schedule management. We're supposed to be faking this, but you're... He trailed off, not sure how to articulate it. Going all in? Monica finished. Her smile was complicated. Because half measures don't work. If we're going to make them jealous, we have to be convincing, and that means acting like a real couple. She returned to the stove. Besides, you needed someone to take care of these things. Your life was a mess. It wasn't a mess. It was a disaster, Monica corrected cheerfully. But it's better now. You're welcome. She was right. Everything was better. More organized, more efficient, more cared for. Jae-won realized with a jolt that he was getting used to this. To her. To the way she bossed him around and managed his life and made his apartment feel like a home. It was dangerous, this comfort. This routine they were building. Because eventually, this would end. Their revenge would be complete, and Monica would leave, and he'd be alone again in his sterile penthouse, with his color-coded closet and his perfectly arranged socks, and absolutely no one to share dinner with. The thought made something in his chest ache. A month later, everything changed. Monica was in his office again, reorganizing his files while he worked. She'd made it a habit, showing up unannounced, making herself useful, treating his professional space like an extension of their living arrangement. His men had stopped being surprised. They just accepted that Mrs. Kim would appear randomly and start improving their organizational systems. Jae-won was reviewing a contract when he said it, not thinking, not meaning to be cruel, just frustrated by how much of his life she'd taken over in a month. You know this isn't real, right? Monica paused, file in hand. What? This. Us. The whole arrangement. He didn't look up from the papers. You're just using me to make your ex-husband jealous. I'm just using you to make Hyejin jealous. None of this actually means anything. The silence that followed was deafening. When he finally looked up, Monica's expression was carefully blank, controlled. The warmth that usually lived in her eyes had vanished completely. Say that again, she said softly. Dangerously. Something in her tone made alarm bells ring in his head, but he'd started this, and male pride wouldn't let him back down now. None of this is real, he repeated slower. The cooking, the organizing, the playing house, it's all just performance. You don't actually care about my schedule, or my sleep, or my... Get out, Jae-won blinked. What? Get Out. Monica's voice was ice. Her hands were perfectly steady as she set down the file. This is my office, and I need you to leave it, now. Her eyes met his, and for the first time since they'd met, he saw genuine anger there. Not playful frustration, not strategic irritation, real cold fury. Unless you want to repeat that one more time and see what happens. The threat in her voice was unmistakable. She looked like she might actually attack him. Jae-won stood slowly, suddenly aware he'd crossed a line he hadn't known existed. Monica, out. He left. Stood in the hallway outside his own office, listening to the silence from within, wondering what the hell had just happened. 10 minutes later, Monica emerged. Her face was composed, professional. She walked past him without a word, collected her bag from his desk, and headed for the door. "Where are you going?" he called after her. She didn't answer. Didn't even look back. Just left. That was the last time Jae-won saw Monica Thomas for 3 weeks. She didn't come back to the penthouse, didn't answer his calls, didn't respond to his texts. She'd vanished as completely as if she'd never existed, taking with her all the warmth and life she'd brought to his space. The first few days he told himself it was fine, better even. He had his life back, his space, his freedom. But on the 4th morning, he woke up and automatically started arranging his clothes the way Monica had taught him. Navy suit with the burgundy tie, matching pocket square, coordinated socks. He stood there in his closet, staring at the outfit he'd put together without thinking, and felt something crack in his chest. By the end of the first week, he was eating breakfast at exactly 7:30 every morning, the time Monica had set, ordering the same healthy meals she'd approved of, following routines she'd established even though she wasn't there to enforce them. His men noticed. Junho asked if Mrs. Kim was coming back. Jae-won didn't have an answer. By the 2nd week, he was going insane. He'd check his phone constantly, hoping for a message that never came. He'd rearrange his socks for the 3rd time that day just because Monica had organized them, and it felt like keeping a piece of her. He'd sit in his sterile, lifeless penthouse and remember what it had felt like when she was there, cooking in the kitchen, humming to herself, filling the space with her presence. Hee-jin tried to contact him. He didn't respond, didn't care. He loved Monica. Monica who'd invaded his life and made it better, who'd cared about the state of his closet, his sleep schedule and his nutrition, and whether he was actually happy, who'd given him space when he needed it, even when it hurt her. He'd been an idiot, and because he'd finally realized the truth, he wasn't still in love with his ex-wife. He'd been in love with the idea of her, with the fantasy of what they could have been. But Monica had been real. Monica had cared about the small things, had made his house a home. Monica had asked about his day and meant it, and he'd thrown it away because he was too stupid and scared to admit what was happening. He was falling in love with her. No. He'd already fallen, completely, irrevocably, and she was gone. On the 19th day, Jae-won couldn't take it anymore. He used every resource at his disposal to track her down. Found out she'd moved to a new apartment across the city. Found out her divorce from Min-ho was finalized. Found out she'd been throwing herself into her business, expanding her operations, building her empire like she was trying to forget he existed. He showed up at her door on a Tuesday evening, heart pounding, no plan except to see her again. She answered on the 3rd knock, looked tired but beautiful. "What are you doing here?" Her voice was flat. "I needed to see you." "Why?" Before he could answer, a male voice came from inside. "Monica, who is it?" Min-ho appeared behind her, looking rumpled and pathetic. When he saw Jae-won, his eyes widened. "Oh," Min-ho said weakly. "It's you." Jae-won looked past Monica to her ex-husband. "What is he doing here?" "Leaving," Monica said firmly. She turned to Min-ho. "We're done here. I already told you—" "Please," Min-ho interrupted, moving closer. "Just listen. I made a mistake. We were good together. We can be good again. I know I messed up, but—" "I arranged my clothes this morning," Jae-won said. Both Monica and Min-ho stopped, stared at him. "What?" Monica asked. "The way you showed me. Navy suit, burgundy tie, matching pocket square, coordinated socks." His voice cracked slightly. "I've been doing it every morning since you left. I eat breakfast at 7:30. I follow the sleep schedule you set. I haven't gone out with anyone you wouldn't approve of." Minho looked between them, confused. What is he talking about? Jaewon ignored him completely, kept his eyes locked on Monica. "I was wrong," he continued, words coming faster now, desperate. "What I said, it was wrong. This isn't fake. It hasn't been fake. Maybe it started that way, but somewhere along the way it became real and I was too scared to admit it." He took a step closer. "You made my house a home. You made me feel cared for in ways I didn't know I needed. You saw me. Not the Mafia boss, not the dangerous reputation, just me, and you stayed anyway." Monica's carefully controlled expression was starting to crack. "Jaewon, I love you." The words tumbled out, raw and honest. "I don't know when it happened. Maybe when you reorganized my closet. Maybe when you showed up at my office and terrified my men. Maybe the first morning when you made me kimchi jjigae and it was perfect, and I realized Hye-jin never once cared enough to learn what I liked." His voice dropped. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for what I said. Please, come back." The silence that followed felt endless. Minho cleared his throat awkwardly. "I should probably go." Neither of them looked at him. Monica's eyes were bright with unshed tears. "You can't just show up here and say that." "I know. You can't just expect me to forgive you because you followed my organizational system." "I know. You hurt me." Her voice broke on the last word. "I came to you for revenge, and somewhere along the way I started actually caring, and you threw it in my face." "I know." Jaewon moved closer, closing the distance between them. "I was scared. I'd been left before, and I couldn't believe that someone like you, could actually want someone like me." "Someone like you?" Monica laughed, but it sounded wet. "You're a Mafia boss. You're powerful and dangerous, and you still made me eat vegetables and get 8 hours of sleep like I was a child who couldn't take care of himself." He smiled despite the tears he could feel, building. "You weren't afraid of me. You never have been. You just took care of me, and I'd never had that before." Monica wiped at her eyes, frustrated. "This is so stupid." "Probably. I was supposed to make you miserable. That was the whole plan." "How's that working out?" She laughed again, genuine this time. "Terribly." Her expression turned serious. "I finalized my divorce." "I know. Minho's been begging me to take him back." "I noticed. I told him no. Before you got here, I was literally telling him to leave when you knocked." Monica stepped closer, close enough that he could see the gold flecks in her eyes. "Because even though I'm furious with you, even though you're an idiot who can't recognize his own feelings, I don't want him. I haven't wanted him since the moment I walked into your kitchen and started reorganizing your life." Hope bloomed in Jaewon's chest, fragile and terrifying. "Monica, I love you too," she interrupted. "I didn't mean to. I was just supposed to make you presentable and use you for revenge and then walk away. But then you started following my routines and wearing the clothes I picked and looking at me like I was the most interesting thing in your world." She shook her head. "You made it really hard to stay detached." "Good," Jaewon breathed. Monica looked at him for a long moment. Then slowly, she smiled. "You really arranged your clothes every morning?" "Every single morning." "Even the socks?" "Especially the socks." She laughed, bright and real, and pulled him into a kiss that tasted like tears and new beginnings and coming home. Behind them, Minho made an awkward sound. I'm going to go." Neither of them acknowledged him. When they finally broke apart, Monica rested her forehead against Jaewon's. "If we're doing this, really doing this, you need to understand something." "What?" "I'm still going to boss you around. I'm still going to organize your life and pick your clothes and tell you when to sleep. I'm counting on it. And I'm still going to build my business. I'm not giving up my career to be someone's wife. I would never ask you to." He pulled back to look at her properly. "I want you exactly as you are. Terrifying and efficient and completely unstoppable." Monica's smile turned wicked. "Good. Because I just signed a major distribution deal in 3 countries. My family name is about to get very impressive. Pride swelled in his chest. That's my girl. Not your girl yet. But she was grinning. You're going to have to work for it. I fully intend to. She kissed him again, softer this time. If you're sitting here thinking, did this mafia boss really just get completely domesticated by a woman he met 1 month ago? Yes. Yes, he did. Drop a raised fist in the comments if you're Team Monica all the way and let me know. What do you think of Monica's plan? Would you have done what she did? Invaded someone's life for revenge? Let me know in the comments. 6 months later, Monica stood in her newly expanded flagship office, overseeing operations that now spanned 4 continents. Her hair importation business had exploded, and her name, the one Min Ho had always dismissed, was now recognized internationally. Jae-won leaned against her doorframe, watching her work. He'd rearranged his entire schedule to be here for her opening. "You're staring," Monica said without looking up. "Can't help it, you're brilliant." "I know." But she smiled. "Your meeting's at 4. Rescheduled to 7, so I could stay for your entire event." He caught her hand. "I'm not missing this." Something soft crossed her face. "You're going to make me cry and ruin my makeup. Cry later, after you've conquered the world." They were interrupted by commotion at the entrance. Hye-jin and Min-ho walked in, looking significantly less polished than 6 months ago. Monica took Jae-won's hand, turned to face them with perfect composure. "Can I help you?" she asked pleasantly. "We heard about your opening," Hye-jin said carefully. "Wanted to offer congratulations." "How kind, but we're quite busy." Min-ho stepped forward. "Monica, I don't need to hear it. I've moved on. Built something better. Found someone better." She looked at Jae-won. "Someone who actually values what I bring." Jae-won's grip tightened. "And who lets her boss me around without complaint." "Mostly without complaint," Monica corrected, smiling. Hye-jin's face had gone pale. "Jae-won, I made a mistake." "We're done, Hye-jin. We were done the moment you left." He looked at Monica. "I'm not looking back anymore." Min-ho cleared his throat. "We should go." "Good idea," Monica agreed. "Security can show you out." As they left, Monica let out a breath. That was satisfying. "Very." Jae-won turned her to face him. "You okay?" "Better than okay. I have my business. I have you. I have a life that's actually mine." She smiled. "They can't touch that." The opening was a massive success. When they finally got home, Monica collapsed on the couch with a satisfied sigh. "Successful day," Jae-won observed. "Very." Monica kicked off her heels. "Thank you for being there." "Where else would I be?" She looked at him, expression soft. "When I first walked into your kitchen, I had no idea it would end up like this." "Like what?" "Real. I was so sure I could just use you and walk away. But then you started following my routines and looking at me like I mattered." "You do matter. You're the most important thing in my life." Monica laughed. "Good." She kissed him and pulled him close. "I love you," she said. "I love you too, even though you're bossy and controlling." "Especially because of that," Monica corrected. "Especially because of that," he agreed. Outside, Seoul glittered with lights. Inside their home, Monica and Jae-won sat wrapped in each other, planning their future. Some things never changed, and they wouldn't have it any other way. Welcome to K-Seoul Fairytales. If this is your first time here, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and turn on notifications. Because we've got so many more stories about powerful men getting taken down by love they weren't ready for. Where you're watching from, I love hearing from you all, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep believing in love that catches you off guard.